Hey, this is Sam Black with my fourth match with Blue-White Control in Modern. I'm on the draw with a hand that would benefit greatly from some scouting. I don't have any early interaction, but Supreme Verdict can catch me up in some matchups. I feel like on the draw against an unknown opponent, this is probably just not a realistic keep, even if my opponent is playing like Eldrazi, for example, would be a creature deck where Supreme Verdict is very good, but I just couldn't ever beat a Thought-Knot Seer. So I'm going to mulligan. I mean, couldn't ever is wrong. I can just top deck another Supreme Verdict, but you know what I mean. This is really awkward. While I get to scry and I get some draw steps, and I could probably find land to cast Wall of Omens, I still need to somehow get to 3 colored mana to get to cast these 2 Supreme Verdicts, which is not very realistic without ghost quartering myself a bunch, which doesn't sound desirable at all. It's really hard to imagine this hand going anywhere where it becomes a good hand, so I'm going to ship it again. And this seems serviceable for a 5. It's pretty good. This helps with the eventually cast Elspeth plan, but I think that I'm more concerned with living to cast Elspeth, and that I'm going to want more than one path to do that, so I'll put this on the bottom and try to find just like a 2-mana play. Alright, against another one of these decks. This is a weird set of matches. Now, of course, my opponent does know about the path, but does not know about the Cryptic Command. I'm going to play his Watergrave and a second Death Shadow. Let's see how much more life they can lose. Mutagenic Growth. Mutagenic Growth. That's quite a bit. Alright, so... Oh, Condemn is awesome! And my opponent doesn't know about it. This is great. Was worried that I wasn't going to be able to play both of my removal spells, but this is the one spot where Condemn has a really good ability. I can force my opponent to gain life, which is not what Death Shadow wants to see happen. I haven't really done the math, but I think this might just straight kill both Death Shadows. So I think my opponent goes to 13, and so they both die. If this resolves. If I was happy with Condemn before, this is a whole other level. Okay, so that was Mutagenic Growth, the other Death Shadow, so that it lives. But it only hits me for 2, unless my opponent can pay more life. But my opponent is down to a single card in hand. Somehow. Guess there were a lot of Mutagenic Growths played. Dismember to make it a 1/1 so that it's bigger later? That is a weird line when my opponent has seen the Path to Exile in my hand. Very weird line, and by weird I do not mean good. I don't think I want to... I don't know if my opponent has ways to stop this from happening, but I don't see any reason to risk it. Get out of here. Most likely my opponent has no basics anyway. Yeah, because it's so important to them to be able to pay life for every land. No. Never mind. Basic anyway. If I draw a land, I can't really lose. Alright, well. Sentiment remains true. If I draw a land, can't lose. Alright. The game is basically over now. My opponent has drawn way more lands than they want to draw. Could cycle one of these, but I don't know what the upside is. They're just better than anything else I could have. Wall of Omens makes me a little more interested in cycling to get to the point where I can cast Wall of Omens and hold up my counterspell. Yeah, now I'm willing to gain 4 life with this thing. That was probably best possible result. Stubborn Denial is really good to know about also. Let's cast this, try to find a land. Perfect. It would be not unreasonable to draw Step of Vendilion here, but I also think it's fine not to. Especially since I might just Vendilion myself on Vendilion. Very reasonable concession. Alright. Timely, yes. Spellskate, yes. Couple of dispels. Cut Elspeth. The one basic makes trying to Crucible even worse, so I'm not going to do that. And I'm going to cut a Supreme Verdict. Probably wouldn't be totally unreasonable to bring in Mind Sensor, but no, it probably would be unreasonable to bring in Mind Sensor. Just shutting down my opponent's ability to find land at that point in the game is completely pointless. This hand is not acceptable. This will work. Not ideal, but it'll play. I really do want this card. I also really want Plains. I think it is too important to have this card, and I have to put it on top and hope to find a Plains with Jace. My opponent takes Jace and I don't find a Plains. This could go pretty badly. I think that's what I wanted to have happen from among the realistic possibilities. Well, hope I'm not dead. Tapping out into Kiln Fiend is not the optimal response. I wonder if this hand was a mulligan because it was too hard to assemble the combination of white mana removal spell on turn 2. It's possible that my opponent's deck is just too explosive for a hand that can't interact immediately, especially on the draw. I don't think this kills me, so I think I have to take the hit. I think I absolutely have to find white. I think I'm going to lose. Discard the Wall of Omens and play this and pass the turn, but I am presumed dead. Probe is definitely not what I want to see. I guess that's only 12 so far. That's lethal. Nothing about that made me want to change tactics. Chromatic Angler pushes slightly toward wanting another Supreme Verdict, but obviously it would not have helped there. It's better on the play than on the draw, but I don't think it's worth it. It's possible that Spellskate's not actually very good. This I can keep. This hand is very good. I have interaction, Jace, good things, good mana, just a great hand. Lead with a Flooded Strand. The opponent gets to have all of the information. Thoughtseize is definitely good here. I assume it will take Condemn, but if my opponent has another discard, alright, I think that strongly indicates another discard spell. You take the Jace so that I don't get it going, and then take the Condemn with the second one. And there it is. Obviously don't want to play the planes and tell my opponent that I've drawn a land. Now we see how much damage my opponent can deal. I know that I can't do anything, so if they have lethal, they have lethal. That's a weird line. I guess it gets me to pull the trigger on Supreme Verdict when I wouldn't have otherwise. Question is, does it get the Supreme Verdict? I think the answer is yes. I don't think Swiftspear is likely to kill me from here. I think the Cryptics can take care of things, and I don't think that they do. I don't think they line up well if I just wait. Like I just have to bounce the Death Shadow and then get hit by the Lavamancer, and then my opponent replays the Death Shadow, and nothing good happens. now, the problem is there are stubborn denial concerns. I could main phase bounce Gurmag Angler. Yeah, it's probably worth it. The Kiln Fiend probably can't kill me, and my opponent can only recast Gurmag Angler so many times. Getting Stubborn Denialed would be really bad. Well, that's a good way to Gurmag Angler. Alright. Go away. Now I have Mana Leak up. There's an argument for mana leaking that just to tap my opponent out, but like it either stops them from drawing a spell to pump Kiln Fiend or taps them out. Like theoretically, either of those outcomes is fine. I do think I mana leak this, even though I die to Battle Rage. I just don't want this to be the card that lets my opponent find something else that kills me. Since I am dead to one more trigger. Not dead. Pretty dead. I think I have to gain 4, draw a card. I can do that and block. Look for removals. Oh. I mean, I guess I can just Vendilion Clique chump. Pass here, hold up, command to try to counter Angler and gain 4. Draw step the Vendilion. Or just main phase it right now, so that a spell can't pump the Kiln Fiend. Turns off finding a better option, but it has some upside. I think I'm gonna draw step it. Duress, Angler, Stubborn Denial. Definitely don't want Stubborn Denial to happen. Yeah, the problem is that... Oh, I guess I can just return Jace and gain 4 life. Oh, that's really good. Oh, and then I'm threatening to flashback Supreme Verdict. Oh, that's the way to do this. Alright. Somehow forgot about that guy. We're kind of doing it. Yeah, so if my opponent duresses, gain 4 life, return Jace, go to 6. This goes to 4 power, chump Death Shadow, take the hit for 4, and then flashback Supreme Verdict. And then my opponent plays Angler, and then I have to, like, a top deck in there is required, but certainly within my reach. I get 3 draw steps, 1 for my draw phase, 1 for the Jace loot, and 1 for my next draw phase. I obviously die if my opponent drew an instant or sorcery off the Vendilion click here, but as long as that didn't happen, we have reasonable odds of winning this game. There's obviously also the much worse line where I return Jace, chump block Death Shadow, trade with Kiln Fiend, and then just go into my draw step empty-handed against a Death Shadow. Yeah, that's not what we're going to have happen here. So, turn a creature, gain 4 life. So if my opponent plays a sorcery, I have to chump block Death Shadow and trade with Kiln Fiend. If my opponent drew an instant, I just die, because I'm going to take the line that loses that. Okay, sorcery. So we're on the chump block Kiln Fiend, or chump block Death Shadow line, which is not a good line, but still leaves me with outs. Problem is the Gurmag Angler coming down means that I need runners or a Supreme Verdict. I guess Snapcaster counts as a Supreme Verdict. So this is trade, and then I have to be able to deal with the Death Shadow. I can technically take a hit from the Gurmag Angler and go to 1. Oh, and we did it. Definitely the best I can do. Well, I think the best I can do is Snapcast Supreme Verdict, but if I Snapcast Command and return Jace, I can go to 10, and then chump block the Death Shadow with the Snapcaster, take the hit from the Gurmag, and then Jace the Supreme Verdict, and then I have a Jace. That is actually probably better. And then the question is whether I can do even better than that by jacing the command, or snapping the command on Jace and drawing a card instead of gaining life. Planning to let the Angler hit me down to 1, but being up a card. And there's a very real chance that the card is actually better. Feels a little greedy, but I'm going to do that. This is certainly a high-risk situation. A lot of things I lose to, but my opponent drew like a land or a discard spell, and I'm in the clear. Now we definitely want the Spring Verdict. And Ghost Quarter can't take my opponent off of any colors, so I think it's better just being in play, letting me do more colonnading. Dead to Swiftspear. That looks like an Angler. Okay, so I can actually just plus Jace on the Angler and block it with Colonnade. Oh. I just forgot my opponent's at 2. I could have just attacked with Colonnade and won, but I'm too stupid for that. Oh well. I think that it is unlikely that I will lose this turn. But my opponent is probably dead the turn that I wrath to me just attacking with Colonnade. I just forgot that my opponent did 18 damage to himself. Sorry for being stupid. I will kill you now. Alright. Well, that was embarrassing, but we got there anyway.